information when you head out to your garden.
You know, and as we watch this program today, there's so much information. It's just chock full of information.
Right.
And there's a videotape available, though. You can get the videotape for your very own, have it at home, stick it in your VCR, be able to stop it, start it, make notes, go back and say, wait a minute, that's not what I thought they said on the TV show. Well, there it is. And it's available for you for a $90 pledge to WVIZ right now. This $90, and the nice thing about it is that it's also going to have the segments listed on the back. On the outside of the videotape box, the segments will be listed. And down in the corner of the videotape, you will see this very slight little kind of
like we call it bug in the television
business. Yeah, we call it a little bug.
You see it in the corner of the television right now.
It'll indicate whether you are currently in segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, segment 4, so that if you're trying to find a segment, you'll know where you are. You know how sometimes you're in, they get that, and you're like, wait a minute, is this where it is? Is it before this? Was it after this?
And even when you find it, you're not sure. Are they talking about the subject area I'm interested in once you get there? So what a unique idea.
We're going to help you with that for that $90 pledge for that great videotape.
We have a different offer also at the $90 level. We're just loaded with wonderful information. When we decided to start putting this program together, we found several things that were actually one thing that was already available, and it's right here. It was called the Cleveland Garden Handbook, a little-known book that was written just a few years ago by Susan McClure. And this is Ohio Landscapers Association says well worth buying. Sun newspaper said a storehouse of valuable information. It's a book written about gardening here in northeastern Ohio, specifically for you, that deals with the issues that northeastern Ohio gardeners care about. That can be yours at the $90 level. But we hope, and let me just flip through it here, it's just loaded, as you can see, with all sorts of text, all sorts of facts, all sorts of graphics and pictures. You're going to love having this book.
There's resources in there too, Kent. There's resources of places to go in the area for garden information. That tells the difference between a greenhouse and a nursery and a garden store.
Right.
All kinds of terrific information.
It's 250 pages long, so if you're wondering about this book and how big it is, it seems small, but it's 250 pages jam-packed with information. We've told you about all the thank you gifts, so I hope you might say, boy, I'd like to get them all. And if you would make a $180 gift to WVIZ PBS right now, we will send them all to you. The Gardener's Guide to Northeastern Ohio, this is the one that we've put together with the Cleveland Botanical Garden, the home video that we have on the program that we're doing today, and you'll have all these incredible segments, and also the book, the Cleveland Garden Handbook by Susan McClure. So that whole package will come your way at the $180 level.
And Kent, we have another question that's coming up now from someone who visited the Home and Garden Show.
Hi, we're the Leasers from Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, and I was just wondering, how do we keep our cat from using our potted plants as a litter box?
Maureen, you have cats.
I have cats, and you know what? I don't have plants in my house because I have cats. So this is a really good question.
Yes.
This is, in fact, one of the questions that people who have animals ask the most.
Right. It's in the book also, and the answer is?
Absolutely, and the answer is, one of the ways is to put aluminum foil on top of the plant, right on top of the soil around the plant. Because, and you can even do that, I don't know if you know that, you can even do that on your furniture or a countertop. If cats do not like aluminum foil.
No kidding.
They're not, you know, as soon as they try to jump there or be there, they'll get away. And another way, which people sometimes don't like as much because they don't like the look of it, but you can put chicken wire up there. Which is another thing.
Right. So there are several things you can do to keep them out of the plants.
Yep.
At least you have a plant, unlike your house where the plants are outside, where the cats aren't. But the deer are.
The deer are. And that's another issue we have to deal with.
So get to your telephone right now. This is a fabulous book. Again, it comes to you at the $60 level. In the back are articles. I'm trying to find, and I know I should have already looked for this before we came back from that question, but there's a whole list here of what you should be doing each month in the garden and the kinds of things
that tips. Yeah, it's under the tips section.
It's under the tips. There it is.
Yeah.
Here, like in May, which is a month that people garden a whole lot. It says late May and early June are the times most gardeners plant annuals. By selecting the right annuals, you can complement an established or new perennial garden. Some annuals that blend nicely with perennials include, oh boy, we're going to have to let the experts help us with these, Maureen, but Cleome, it looks like, Cosmos, Lysanthus, and Elysium. I'm sure I said all of those wrong. But the whole package, remember, when you go to your telephone right now at the $180 level, will bring you everything. It'll bring you this incredible book from the Cleveland Botanical Garden that WVIZ has worked with them to assemble. It'll bring you the home video of the very program that you're watching today. As a matter of fact, tomorrow our folks will be busy putting this program together so that we can send it to you in the mail, and the Cleveland Garden Handbook. All three of those will come your way at the $180 level. Again, as you see there, at the $90 level you can have the Cleveland Garden Handbook or the home video, but that $180 pledge is what we really hope. People will go to their telephones and support the station. Now, if you're saying, are those items really worth $180? Of course not. We're actually sending them to you absolutely free as our way of saying thank you for you investing $180 into the program. One thing you'll notice today, there aren't commercials to pay the bills here on public broadcasting. It's a partnership between the public television station and the community.
Now, I want to say something about the value of that $180 value, though, Ken.
Right.
Because that's probably really a $500 value, a real value, but they're editing us out of it.
Yes, that's right.
And so they're editing us out of that videotape so that you can have it for that $180 pledge. Well, you know,
that's right.
We're up and coming.
That's right. Soon, though, it'll be worth far more. But the three pieces that make this package so incredible are really things that you couldn't have before. Yes, the Cleveland Garden Handbook you could have, but it was hard to find it. Many people didn't know about that book as it was available here in Northeastern Ohio. But the other two pieces of this package, both the loose leaf binder with this incredible collection of questions and articles in the 20-year history of the newsletter of the Cleveland Botanical Garden, is invaluable. You're never going to find this anywhere but here at WVIZ PBS, and the home video that we're putting together today is unlike any reference video that's ever been produced for the gardeners of Northeastern Ohio. This is the kind of service that public television should be doing. It's the kind of service that public television is pleased to be doing, but it's the kind of service that can only be made possible with your calls and your pledges of support, because it's your $90 or $60 or $180 when it's combined with other people in Northeastern Ohio that makes WVIZ what it is and gives WVIZ the purchasing power to produce and broadcast these kinds of programs.
We wouldn't be here without that support.
No, we really wouldn't.
That's a huge segment of WVIZ support every year. You can be a part of that now and support this kind of programming, this gardening program. You know, we've done things with Jerry Baker in the past, but we haven't produced something right here in the studio for Northeast Ohio and used our own local experts. So this is a really special piece of information to gather and use year after year.
Oh, it is. And every one of the segments, as we move along in this program today, some 4 hours this program will run, every new segment will bring you new information that you need to have for your gardening right here in Northeastern Ohio. Time to go back to Julie and another friend in the studio, and we hope that we'll hear from you. We're standing by. The number's on your screen. Give us a call and pledge your support.
WVIZ PBS wants to thank the following for their assistance in the production of the Gardener's Guide for Northeast Ohio. Cleveland Botanical Garden. For more than 70 years, Cleveland Botanical Garden has been a source of knowledge and inspiration for people of all ages and backgrounds. Their gardens will be open April 1st to October 31st, and their new glass house and renovated facility will be opening in the fall of 2003. Petiti Garden Centers. With 7 locations, including their new Strongsville store, Petiti Garden Centers has the knowledge and expertise to help both beginner and professional gardeners. Smith & Hawken, committed to using their knowledge and expertise to help gardeners and garden lovers affirm their connection to the earth in an environmentally sensitive way.
Hand and power tools, while being a lot of fun to use, are also great ways to save time and energy in the garden.
Well, that's right. And joining us now to tell us how you should really use them is lead horticulturist from Cleveland Botanical Garden, Paul Pfeiffer. Thanks for being here, Paul.
Now, Paul, I know safety comes first, so why don't you show us some of these safety things we need to use?
No matter how much fun you have with garden tools or how much work you need to get done with garden tools, it's always remember to be very safe and very practical using them. Keep the first aid kit nearby, especially if you're using power tools. I would highly recommend using some kind of work gloves. Now, a lot of people don't like to use work gloves. They feel like they're somewhat cumbersome and hard to really get your hands in the soil. But these mud gloves are great. They're actually canvas gloves. They're dipped in rubber, and they have good grip. They don't get wet when you're dealing with water and soil. You can really feel the materials that you're working with. It's very easy to use these gloves. And you want to make sure that you keep all your equipment nice and clean and sharp. Now, there's a few other things we have here. These knee pads are, as most gardeners spend a lot of time on the ground. So if you can use knee pads of some sort, whether it's just a simple styrofoam pad or these actual knee pads that you strap on, these work really well. They'll save your knees, keep your pants clean so the launderer in the family won't get too excited when you bring your clothes in. And of course, good footwear is also important. These Wellington boots, any kind of rubber-lined shoe or boot will keep you drier. And it actually allows you to sneak out in the garden when the weather's not so great, like this last weekend with a little bit of snow out there. nice rubber-lined boots. Gets you out in the garden a little bit earlier in the spring.
I know a lot of people spend a lot of time watering their garden, so I see several devices here, like this little hand sprayer as well as the wand sprayer here.
Water is really important. Gardeners know that plants need water, but with some of the crackdowns by municipalities with water use and that during drier summers, it's important to make sure that you do a good job with your watering. We want to try to get away, when we're watering plants, we want to try to get away from using the hard stream-lined nozzle that really puts a forceful amount of water out onto the ground or onto the plant. Instead, I would recommend using these water breakers. They look like little shower heads, and you can actually get these water wands that will help you get the water deeper into the beds or for containers or hanging baskets. They work really great. But these water breakers break up that hard streamline, put out a much finer mist of water, allows the water to get into the soil. Sometimes you got that hard water coming out. A lot of it just splashes away. It doesn't get into the soil down to the roots where the plant can really take it up.
Okay, what's this? Looks like you have a lot of fun with this.
We got a lot of different tools here, and I wish we had a little more time to get through all these. This is a weeder. Now, gardeners won't admit it, but we all have a lot of weeds. But this is a tool that will help you weed. In fact, it's got a nice long handle, so you don't have to stoop down and quite so much and get down to get those weeds quite as much with this kind of weeder. Now, there's another really neat tool here, this circle hoe. This works really well. A lot of people have problems using some of these other hand hoes or even the long-handled hoes, but these circle hoes work really well because they're a little bit gentler on the soil. They're a little bit easier to control. The circle actually helps you just attack the individual weeds themselves instead of just chopping away with some of the other type of hand hoes as well as long-handled hoes.
What if you just want to get in there and sort of cultivate the top couple inches of the soil? What would you use for
there's
that?
a tool right back here that I would highly recommend. This wonderful long-handled cultivator. It looks like a hard rake, but they usually have 3 or 4 tines. They're great because you can get in between perennials and shrubs. It's got a nice long handle, so you can get in there. And it's just enough depth on the tines here so that you can do a good job of scratching the surface of the mulch, or if you're trying to cultivate through the vegetable garden, nice width will do that very well. Now, if you need to clean up, if you have leaves or straw or whatever the case might be, it looks like a leaf rake, but it's only about 6 inches wide. It's got 6 tines. This also is very great for getting in between flowers, shrubs, between the vegetable garden plants. Instead of trying to get through there with a big hard rake or even a big leaf rake, this works really well to get in between those smaller plants.
What do you use to get leaves out of your ivy in the fall? What's the best thing to do?
Well, there's a couple of ways you can do that, and this kind of a tool will work pretty well that way. Some people that have blowers will use those. You have to be careful because you don't want to cause a lot of damage to the plant material. If you can, you want to gently rake through them. If it's a situation where you can hand pick them out, that will work well too.
Or just leave them there, that's probably
You can leave some of them there, like ivy, so especially English ivy, which is broadleafed evergreen. You don't want the green leaves to be under the leaves.
Okay.
They would need to be exposed a little bit. But a few leaves nestled in between is a nice mulch for the winter.
Now, when you want to plant your things outside, I know there's different tools for bulbs and different tools for planting out transplants.
Most folks will use the good old hand trowel, for example, especially to plant annuals, bedding plants, and potted perennials. If you're planting bulbs in the spring, or planting spring flowering bulbs in the fall, a bulb planter works well. Now, I've never been able to master the use of one of these. I'd rather use the trowel, but many people swear by using the bulb planters. In fact, you can get bulb planters with longer handles on them, so you don't have to stoop down quite as much.
If we have time later on, Paul, I'll give you a little tutorial on how to use these things.
That sounds great. Now, this little device here, this is a dibber, and it can be used for just about anything, but a lot of people will use these just to poke holes in the soil and plop those plants in. You can really start moving along. Even the hand hose, a lot of times you can just chop, put the plants in, chop, put the plants in, and really move along the soil in that fashion. You really do a good job that way.
We have a couple different pruners here. Looks like an anvil pruner and a bypass.
Right, there's 2 different kinds of pruners. There's the bypass pruners, which are just like scissors. The blades bypass each other, hence the name bypass pruners. These can be used for anything, but ideally they're used for plant